Good afternoon to one and all. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 Good afternoon to one and all. Vijayawada. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I cordially welcome you all to the Urban October 2023 and generate knowledge. Urban October has been introduced. I Thank you for all your esteemed presence. To commence the event, I now invite Radhika Thakur and Naintara Shekhar from B Plan third year to commence the event with a welcome song.
महागणपतिं स्मरामि महागणपतिं स्मरामि महागणपतिं वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिम् महादेवसुतम् महादेवसुतं गुरुगुहानुतं महादेवसुतं गुरुगुहानुतं मारकोटि प्रकाशं शान्तम् अकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियम् महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदकप्रियं महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदकप्रियं महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि गणपतिं वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिम्
Thank you. On that positive note, let's discuss the session's occurrence. First and foremost, I invite Dr. Adinarayanan Sir, Patron, Associate Professor, and Head of the Department of Planning, to deliver the welcome address.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Respected Director, Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda sir, for extending his support for organizing these kind of academic events. And Professor Dr. Abdul Razak sir, he owns these kind of activities in the Department of Planning, and that we are following it. But coincidentally, today, Razak sir is with us. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Respected Deans, Head of the Department Architecture and Dean Academic, all my faculty colleagues, my dear student friends. Very good afternoon to one and all present here. It is with great pleasure and a profound sense of purpose that I welcome you all to the inaugural session of Urban October 2023 and the special celebration of World Habitat Day today in line with the initiatives taken by the UN Habitat. This event holds immense significance as we come together to celebrate, inspire, and act on matters that affect the very core of our urban existence. Urban October is a month, a long celebration dedicated to fostering a deep understanding of challenges and as well as opportunities within our rapidly urbanizing world. The initiative encourages cities to foster inclusive, resilient, and sustainable urban environments. The Department of Planning, as a part of this effort, has traditionally organized various events, series of events during the month of October 2023. In line with Urban October 23 at SPA Vijayawada, series of lectures by eminent speakers in the next set of consecutive Wednesdays starting from today. The first day have been planned to commemorate World Habitat Day on the theme of resilient urban economies. The second day, 25th October, next Wednesday, we are organizing program for the World Standards Day on the theme exploring the feasibility of planning standard for sustainable development. The third day, followed by Urban October 1st, November 1st, we are commemorating World Cities Day by organizing various students' activities and competitions on various urban and regional planning concerns. The last day of Urban October, SPAV 23, is scheduled on 8th November 2023, concluding with the World Town Planning Day. We will have eminent speakers joining us on all these days, series of competitions and as well as the exhibition. Today, as we commence the celebration, the focus is on World Habitat Day, which is marked under the theme Resilient Urban Economies. The theme emphasizes official importance of building cities that are not only economically vibrant but also resilient, sustainable, and inclusive. The urban landscape is ever evolving, and its role in shaping our collective future cannot be understood. Our cities are hubs of innovation, culture, and diversity. They are center of economic activity where dreams are pursued and lives are improved. However, cities are also on frontiers of complex changes from rapid urbanization and social disparities to environmental degradation and impact of climate change. This year, World Habitat Day theme underscores the need for us to navigate all these challenges. Our goal is to develop urban environment that can withstand and recover from adversities while providing opportunities for all inhabitants. We must emphasize sustainability and what is to be sustained, and also while providing opportunities for all inhabitants. We must emphasize sustainability, social inclusivity, innovation, community engagement, and collaborative governance. These are the cornerstones of resilient urban economies. Today, we have gathered experts, thought leaders, and passionate individuals from diverse fields who will share their insights and experiences on how we can collectively pave the way for more sustainable, equitable, and resilient cities. Our deliberations will encompass a wide array of topics, including sustainable urban planning, financing, policy reforms, planning standards, and crucial role of community engagement. In the spirit of collaboration, we will explore how local and national government, the private sector, civil society, and the international organization can work together to build resilient urban economies of tomorrow. I am certain that the ideas and solutions that emerge from our discussions will guide our efforts to create cities that not only prosper economically but also enhance the quality of life for all of their inhabitants. As we embark on journey together during Urban October 2023, let us remember that our actions today will shape the cities of tomorrow. It is an honor to have each and every one of you here as we celebrate the World Habitat Day and work towards building more resilient, sustainable, and inclusive urban environments. Welcoming all once again for the inaugural session of Urban October 2023 at SPA Vijayawada for commemorating World Habitat Day today. With this note, I welcome you. Thank you all.
So good afternoon to all of you. I think we have a very interesting theme this time in under Urban October, which combines resilience and uh, economies, urban economies. And throughout this month and little bit of next month, we would be hearing different experts on these topics. And I invite and ask you all to spread this message and listen to these lectures and not miss out, because along with the classroom lectures, these lectures which are given by external experts, it throws a lot of insight and we can get a lot of information from their vast experiences. So do listen to these is my request. In terms of the theme, it is very interesting because mostly in planning studios and when we teach, as you all know or you are learning to know, that we focus on infrastructure, transportation, land use, housing, so as to make the cities a place which is more livable. This is what is known to us. But along with the citizens, the cities also have corporations, offices, and so corporations, offices, NGOs, and all the different organizations which provide employment, which provide job. So how along with how workable, how whether these organizations which generate employment and economy, are the city attractive to them also or not? Whether the cities are good places for investment, for people to do business is also equally important. Like we study livability, we can probably also study workability or how conducive is it for the economic sector. So this has been a focus also in SPA Vijayawada in our teaching, but it is a real focus now worldwide, globally, and it is finding its place in the theme. So whether a city is investment friendly, whether it can work for corporations along with citizens is important. Along with it, they have also included resilience, which is equally important because as we move towards making cities livable and globally competitive, we are sometimes missing out on factors which make them risky and vulnerable to sudden changes in climate or sudden changes in environment or even human induced shocks. So we need to also look into how to make them resilient. So these are complex themes. It looks simple when we listen to them in lectures, but they all have their own set of indicators and analytical tools. Perhaps you will learn them over the semesters and definitely over this month little bit more. So we have speakers like Professor Chetan Vaidya, whom you will listen to today, who are quite listen to them, it definitely works. So with that few words and points, I wish this month to be successful, and I hope it is worthwhile for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Shankar Basira, sir, to speak a few words.
Good afternoon, one and all. Mr. Konda sir for enabling the event, and Dr. Chetan Vaidya sir, Rajak sir, Dr. Mohammed Rajak sir, all our leadership and fellow colleagues, faculty members, and dear students. It's wonderful that we have this World Update Day, and then as every year. Now the most critical is resilience. Okay, do we have our dreams? What is our motto, life's motto? Each one, do we have a goal? What do you want to be? Not like professionally, this, that, okay, eventually, yes. But as human, what do you want to be? Happy, healthy? Then whether is the place or wherever, is it really helping us to be? Because now, when almost like 806 crore people, now close to 143 crore Indians, and then within India also almost like 35%, almost urban, and then close to something like 54 crores. But then, what about the carrying capacity? So there is always for any center, there's always an initiation, then a growth period, stabilization, then probably the uh, diminishing returns. So any wise person who is a good manager, you know, a good manager is who can design their own next step. Because earlier, probably a person native place these days is only a just a casual thing. No person is native to any place probably. As long as economic support, we are grounded there or we are linked to that place. But the moment something else changes, probably somewhere else. So I mean, by and large, the way world is moving ahead, that's how probably we'll have to see. And then now to make our, because most critically, economics is what is driving us and to make our decision. So now when a lot of investments are being dealt at a particular location, are those investments and other things really worthwhile? Or is that place really stable enough to support us for a longer carrying capacity or things like that? Okay. So we always like challenges. Most of the that's why world requires something called specialists. Then we try to solve them, and then that's how. Okay, so we really look forward for a very intellectually stimulating workshop and series of many knowledge sharing sessions with world economy. Many the stellar, basically the list of speakers are really stellar, very very high. So I wish all the very best, and then looking forward. And thank you for having me here. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next on schedule, we have the inaugural address on Urban October and World Habitat Day by our Honorable Director of School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda, sir. I request the dignitaries to be seated among the audience. Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda possesses a wealth of academic and professional achievements. In 2010, he commenced his journey as a professor at the Department of Architecture at SPAV Vijayawada, and over the years, he has held positions of Head of Department of Architecture, Head of Department of Planning, and Dean of Studies. In 2022 September, he has been appointed as the Director of School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada. Due to certain prior engagements, Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda sir is unfortunately unavailable to join us for the occasion. However, he has expressed his wishes for the occasion in a pre-recorded tape. Let us give it a listen.
Greetings to all. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be here today. As we mark the beginning of the Urban October SPAV 2023, celebrating World Habitat Day today. Urban October is a month-long celebrations dedicated to promoting a better. Greetings to all. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be here today. As we mark the beginning of the Urban October SPAV 2023, celebrating World Habitat Day. Today, Urban October is a month-long celebrations dedicated to promoting a better understanding of urbanization and its impact on our communities. It serves as a platform for various activities, discussions, and initiatives that aim to create more sustainable and inclusive urban spaces. World Habitat Day is an essential occasion that underscores the significance of sustainable development and adequate housing for all. Celebrating this day raises awareness about the global housing challenges and encourages collective efforts to create inclusive, safe, and resilient cities, ultimately improving the quality of the people around the world. That is the one, quality of the life of the people around the world. This year's theme is resilience urban economies, is particularly relevant as it underscores the pressing needs for cities to withstand and adapt and also recover from the shocks and stresses. It gives us an opportunity to reflect on the critical intersections of the urban development and economic resilience and to explore the innovative solutions that can lead us to more sustainable, inclusive and prosperous cities. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing the impact of the ongoing global pandemic, which has tested our cities in unprecedented ways. And we cannot forget the looming threats of climate change, which poses serves challenges to our urban environments. A resilient urban economy is not just about withstanding adversity. It's about creating a robust, adequate, equitability, and urban ecosystems that can thrive and provide opportunities for everyone. The essence of the resilient urban economy lies in its ability to protect the most vulnerable and promote social inclusivity and ensure sustainable growth. To build resilient urban economies, I wanted to emphasize on at least 5 key elements. One is the sustainable solutions. There, what we see is we need to transition to cleaner energy issues and reduce emissions and adopt sustainable urban planning and green infrastructure, energy efficiency and sustainable transportation. These are the very crucial and critical components. Second one is the social inclusivity. That is resilience must encompass everyone. We must ensure affordable housing, access to equity, education, and healthcare and employment opportunities, leaving no one behind us. Third item is innovation initiatives. That is, cities are centers of innovations. By fostering innovation and technology, we can create economic opportunities and solve urban challenges and build a more resilient future. Third one is community engagement. Of course, fourth one is the community engagement. Our communities hold the solution to many of our urban challenges. Engaging the public in the decision-making process and urban development planning, especially, it is a vital component which we have to focus it more in this community engagement. Collaborative commitment is the fifth one. That is the resilience of urban economies depends on the collaboration between local and national governments, the private sector, civil society, and as well as international organizations. Now, as we celebrate World Habitat Day and the commencement of the Urban October, let us recommit ourselves to the vision of building urban environments that are not only economically resilient but also sustainable, equitable, and inclusive. This is an opportunity to chart a course for our cities that leads to a future where all inhabitants can enjoy a high quality of life, where economic opportunities are abundant, and where the urban centers can withstand any challenges. For many years, the School of Planning and Architecture Vijayawada has been a pioneer in fostering these kind of ideas among both our students and society. We have endured to impart theoretical knowledge, within our classroom and practical wisdoms in the field. SPA has constantly organized an area of activities during Urban October, encompassing community outreach programs, academic dialogues, and collaborative projects that have profoundly enriched our comprehension of urbanization and its intricate challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I wish to extend my deepest appreciation to eminent individuals who have graced us with their presence today. Shri Dr. Chetan Vaidya, the former director of SPA and currently independent director, Gift City, Gujarat, stands as a lumina in the realm of urban planning and development. His profound insight and dynamic leadership have charted the course for many of our initiatives, and it is a privilege to have him among us today. Sir, we welcome you to SPAV and Namaskar. Additionally, we are honored to host Ms. Anshika Gupta, an urban specialist from NITI, Government of India. Her invaluable expertise in urban policy and development is a beacon and also guiding our way. And we eagerly anticipating our insight and contributions to our ongoing discussions. My dear students and faculty, I am confident that the area of events and competitions meticulously organized by the Planning Department of SPAV for Urban October in these coming days will serve as a source of excitement and a wellspring of knowledge for both our students and faculty members. Thank you very much. Dhanyawad. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful words. And now, it's my pleasure to invite our first keynote speaker, Ms. Anshika Gupta, a distinguished expert in the field of urban development. With a master's degree in housing, Ms. Gupta has been driving force behind several significant projects. She played a pivotal role in formulating sustainable development guidelines for 4 industrial parks in Andhra Pradesh, ensuring that economic growth goes hand in hand with environmental responsibility. Ms. Gupta has also served as a technical advisor to GIZ, contributing her expertise to projects focused on retrofitting old urban industrial areas. Her far-reaching impact extends to her work on land use policy developments for Tamil Nadu and Odisha, grounded in a deep understanding of macroeconomic scenarios. Currently, Ms. Anshika Gupta is an urban development specialist at NITI AAYOG, where her expertise continues to shape the future of urban development in India. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Anshika Gupta to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so thank you so much for this generous introduction. At NITI, I've been looking at various strands, for example, reforms in urban planning capacity, its ideation, preparation and release, planning and architectural framework for hilly regions. And recently, Government of India, NITI Aayog has initiated the Growth Hub program. I'm sure you must have read in newspapers as well, because there are 4 pilot cities for which NITI Aayog is developing an economic roadmap, and there are many more maybe coming in, and that is exactly what is very deeply correlated with what the theme is of today's session, which is urban resilient urban economies. But before beginning my presentation, I really want to thank the HOD of SPA Vijayawada for having me here, for inviting me. Was little difficult, but as generally happens with planning students and planning professors, we get very little time to prepare, and everything is at the last moment. So, and my gratitude to Chetan Vaidya sir. Sir, it's an honor to be a co-panelist with you. I could never have imagined to have been doing that sometime. So let me share some slides. So before I begin my deck, what I thought is, the faculty and the students of SPA Vijayawada, they're already, very well equipped with all the kinds of resources in terms of best practices, in terms of calculations, in terms of, if somebody has to read the examples in India and abroad. So what I thought is, instead of giving a prescriptive details of various projects on resilience worldwide, because they are anyway available, let me just instill a food for thought within the students from first year to the final year, so that when they come out in the field, they also have a macro vision for the cities, because not necessarily what is being taught within the studios will be an ask from the field as well. You might be getting many more assignments which are beyond what has been taught so far. So with that, I'll just share my window. And at any point, if you feel that there is a need of a question, please pause me. I'll be available and I'll try to finish it very quickly. So is my presentation visible in full screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yes. Not full screen. Can you please make it into a full screen presentation?
Is it full screen now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just a minute. Is it full screen now?
No, ma'am. It's still in the PPT mode.
Ma'am,
Does this work?
this will work, ma'am, but if you can share your full entire screen instead of sharing the window, then the full screen option might be better, might work. Can you try once, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, works? Still not working.
Still it's the same, ma'am, but I think this will do.
Okay, fine then. So sorry for this, but let's begin. So and since this is the first presentation, I think we should have some little bit of context. So generally what we begin with while discussing urbanization in India is that we say that urbanization level is pretty low in India at 31%, but that is a dated figure anyway. But in most countries, if we see, economic growth and industrialization have been accompanied by steadily rising urbanization, reaching to a level of 75% almost. If you see in the graph to our right hand side, India is still, if we see in terms of level of urbanization, very very less. But if we see in magnitude, it is much higher. In highly urbanized countries, if we compare with India, they have like a level of urbanization 83%, 77%.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but did you move from the first slide or are you still on the first slide?
I moved to the second slide.
Okay, just now the second slide, right, ma'am?
Okay.
Okay, fine. We can see a slide titled "Is India Urban?"
Yes,
I hope that
it is.
slide, right?
Yes,
ma'am?
it is.
Yeah, thank you.
So what I tried to mention here is that India's urban trajectory appears to be lower than many other developing economies, but that anomaly is particularly ironic because Indian subcontinent has been home to some of the earliest urban settlements in human history, along with the growth, the economic growth and industrialization. The pace of urbanization hasn't been as high as many of the other countries abroad. Now, to find a peculiar reason for the same, before finding a peculiar reason, one has to understand that Fine, by ratio, India is 31%, but in magnitude, it is still very high. India's urban population is 11% of that of the urban world across the world. So it is very significant. And India's annual urban growth is still faster than China, because many of the countries like US, Germany, Japan, there's come to a level wherein the growth is not really high in terms of urban growth. Now, if we see the story of urbanization on a flat surface, what we observe across the world is that India still has a very stable system of, spread across the whole length and breadth of the country, the urban settlements. So this indicates a very important feature, that is the stable system of urban settlements is interacting with each other, and that interaction is at the societal level, also at the level of economics, which is really very important for us as urban planners to consider as a factor while we are planning for growth of the cities. Here, I would take a little bit of pause to give you a little bit some numbers. While we generally talk about that, across the world, cities only occupy 3% of land, but they also contribute to 80% of world's GDP. What we sometimes miss out is also the fact, which has recently come out by World Economic Forum, is that 44% of this GDP of contributed by cities worldwide is at a risk of disruption because of nature's loss, because of climate change. Now, this is really important. Although India at the moment is at the brink of, converting into half urban nation very soon, but we also need to be mindful that this path of economic prosperity has to be a low carbon pathway. And that will also determine the resilience of the urban cities that we need to plan for. 80% of energy consumption worldwide, and as well as 75% of carbon emissions also emerge from the cities. So while we need to have a very sophisticated methodology of reaching economic goals, we also need to be mindful for the low carbon pathway. That's the point I wanted to set across. Now, the second point, I'll just be expanding the question bit by bit. So after urban, my second question is, are Indian cities, their urban economy competitive? Well, if we compare the GDP of many of the nations and cities, there are internationally, cities are competing with the nations per se. We can see in this chart, there is Tokyo, Canada, in the same row. They all are competing. If we extend this graph a little bit more, after Beijing, maybe our cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore will also start figuring in. But with the kind of stable system and with the kind of luminosity of various urban settlements that we have seen in the slide before, there is a lot of potential which we are not able to harness in terms of economic growth. Wherein the future, what we are, at NITI contemplating many a times is that in future, it's not just the nations which are competing economically worldwide, but the cities. And India really needs to build upon that role, which is somewhere not really addressed. So the second thing is, after this, that we just need to plan well, and plan with an economic agenda. See, urbanization supports economic growth. That's something like a cliche, but the growth is not directly proportional. It's not like if we have ever expanding population and ever expanding urban sprawl, it will ultimately lead to economic growth. It is a proxy, but not necessary. It can have many externalities if it is not planned in the way that it should be. The agglomeration economies that we generally celebrate can be short-circuited very quickly by congestion, by pollution, etc. We all know the examples of Bangalore, how much per capita GDP daily is being lost due to the people spending their hours and hours in the road congestions. So dysfunctional cities can therefore really erode away the benefits of agglomeration. Globally, there has been a strong recognition that the cities will be competing with each other. However, in India, the economic planning, the economic agenda of the city, it's really nobody's mandate as of now. Do we really, when we are thinking about city planning or expanding some of the cities, think about jobs, their availability, their concentration, what is the GV of various sectors, what are the growth drivers within the city? Sometimes we miss out on these aspects, and that's where we are missing the whole economic story part of it. And then our approaches for urban resilience actually become reactive rather than and something which are inherent to the process of urbanization. So what is missing is we are focusing rather more on the basic agenda as we see on the slide, but rather less on the economic agenda. That how we integrate the government, policies, incentives for economic development or in that region. How are we investing for human capital? How are we creating the business environment? Of course, generally, the kind of mandate that planners have in government departments, it generally only touches upon the basic agenda. But what I want to bring to you, the students, is that we also need to be well equipped about this economic agenda, at least the understanding of this economic agenda, so that our plans are better informed and they don't seem to look like more utopian agendas of just additional land and then its land use and then its infrastructure. While government of India as well as the state governments, that there are massive investments happening in urban space right now. The economic agenda, whereas, will need to be handled more interdisciplinarily. Why? Because it's not just one organization like ULB who will be able to handle the economic agenda per se. If we talk about cities and the GDP that they're contributing to the society, it's not limited to the boundaries that I'll come to in the next slide. It's not limited by the boundaries. So in the economic agenda, what do we need to see? We need to see actually the firms, whoever come and start their businesses in the cities. It's all about the choice, the location decisions. And when coordinating, with this location decision and the land uses, there's generally a disconnect of urban plans vis-a-vis the, what firms would want to do. There is a very interesting book, which is by Ellen Bertod on this particular phenomenon. So I would recommend all of you to read, that book by him. I'll just share all those book readings with your organizers. Now, coming to urban agglomerations rather to cities, only the focus on the city boundaries will limit our interventions. We need to think beyond. We need to think in terms of how the economic activity is spreading out, especially for manufacturing, because manufacturing clusters, they tend to be, not just within the cities, but around the cities also. And their likely expansion also happens, as we all know, in the peri-urban areas. So the extent to which these, the core city and the peri-urban, the economic activity that spreads outside the municipal boundaries, the extent to which we are able to, do their economic planning together will actually determine how, the resilience of that place will be. So I'm taking one example of Indore. This is based on our work that we were doing with Asian Development Bank over last year. So if you see, the administrative boundary of Indore is very limited, the block in the yellow. But the actual, if you see through the night light imagery and draw a boundary around it, it is actually a proxy to the economic activity which is happening around the city. And it actually, in a way, actually goes even beyond the Indore district, and it spreads to Dhar district. So unless, as planners, we start understanding how this interaction between the city and the surrounding cities and the economic activities is happening, it will be very difficult to, just plan as a reactive measure for within the administrative city and assume that it will become resilient tomorrow. So how do we build that economic agenda? I just wanted to give you some food for thought for, as a framework for you to apply in your labs. But obviously it can be, it's not really a theorized one. but you can build upon it. So first is interface. While planning, cities actually need to discuss with various stakeholders. Now, these stakeholders does not only mean the subject matter experts, but also mean the private sector who are actually building the city or investing in the city, the real estate, the industries, the services. So all those people actually are an equal partner in the city. Unless you interface and consult stakeholders, you will not be able to second is to ideate what could be the economic vision for the city for the long term horizon, and then dovetail the policies across those sectors. All these policies should then be also reflected in the spatial plans. So I'm just adding two layers before we start doing the spatial planning of the city regions, that these two layers are really, really important before we start, projecting our population and drawing the land use maps. And that is not really limited to our role as planners. That is also really, really important. That it's really, really important that a consensus amongst various institutions within who are really managing or putting funds within the city is also achieved. Without those multiple, organizations and bodies coming together at one level and being able to ideate the economic vision for the city, it's really difficult that that something of such big transformational change could be achieved. Now, in terms of ideation, what would this regional economic vision mean? It would mean that, first of all, yes, it extends beyond the administrative boundaries, it identifies the industries and sectors, and then it has vision to focus on enablers. Those enablers would include skills, what kind of skills are required as per the economic growth drivers identified during the visioning exercise. What is the technology which will be required? What are the policies and incentives which are required? What could be the thematic clusters which can bring more economy to the region? And then obviously the sentiment of industry bodies and startups, investors, developers would be important to inculcate into that vision. So I'll skip this, I think I've covered. Then comes implement, making the fiscal. So generally our studies, we are rather more focused on the physical planning aspect. I would urge the students to also bring in the fiscal part into their planning and assessment of cities, and make, start at least understanding what are the fiscal policies and programs which are coherent to transport, industry, MSME skills beyond what is the traditional, our subject matter of work, which will include water, housing, and transport, but maybe not so much on MSMEs and industries, etc. And then coordinate all those programs in the city master planning. Here I have also used the word district because it's important. You see, district, even though the kind of agglomeration will extend to a part of the next district, but it is important for you to be able to understand that district is the administrative unit through which a lot happens, and a lot of decisions on land, revenue, management, disasters, everything happen. So it will be important that you understand where the agglomeration is extending and which districts then need to be brought on the same page for economic vision and its implementation. And then obviously you all are aware about various brownfield and greenfield models. So again, on this slide, what I'm trying to say is, instead of directly jumping on to correcting what is existing in inner cities or how a new city can be formed, before that, if we add these two layers of policies, programs, and economic vision, they will be able to guide that which sectors, where and why will be important to develop as brownfield and greenfield, so that our proposed roads, infrastructure, etc., they do not become a road leading to nowhere. Now coming to resilience, the third part of your topic. Well, I'll spend just a couple of more slides now, 2 to 3 slides, I think. So in terms of resilience, as our keynote speaker before me was mentioning, in my understanding, there are two subsets to resilience. One if any shock or stress happens to the city, it has to survive or adapt, right? And what are the three basic facets which have to do that? These are infrastructure, functions of the city, and society. The functions will include all the economic functions like administration, the businesses, the manufacturing, and so on. So by society, I would mean that various classes and various gender, everybody included. How can they be included in being resilient in face of shock? Now, these shocks could be of various kinds. There can be a technological disruption, which can really change the way you construct the cities or the way you handle the solid waste, water, etc. It can be climate change related, which can directly impact, the food that you are getting, its quality, its quantity, water, its quality and quantity, etc. It can also be somewhere related to, the torrential rainfall or sudden coughs, etc. Then economic shocks, well, for that, nobody has control, global recession, geopolitics, energy crisis. So these are the things which would be really little beyond the control of planners. In fact, almost beyond the control of everyone of us. Disasters, yes, some of them can be also because of unrestricted constructions or unmindful, unengineered buildings. But there is a part of it which is out of our hands, but there is certainly a lot of it which can be controlled or at least mitigated, or we can have better systems which can help us to face these disasters. So it's very important that before we talk about resilient urban economies, we first identify what is really these three pieces, and then we connect these three pieces together: the urban piece, the economy piece, and the resilience piece. And then we integrate them while we are working from the day one, how we integrate all these three together. And this would be my last slide, I suppose, that how do we make urban economies resilient? One is adaptiveness. I'll give few examples that, yes, we need to really plan for urban economic development, as I've explained in previous slides. We need to identify sectors and consider diversification, because if our urban economy is really only dependent upon some limited sectors and suddenly some technological disruption happens, then obviously we are not consciously planning for resilience. We are just setting up ourselves for a disaster for a later stage, because we are really dependent upon one sector or couple of sectors only within the city. And third is very important, that one has to be competitive, not just nationally but globally. If, for example, in Surat, in the present date, only in the present date, India is contributing some very large amount of textile in the global trade. But if we do not stay competitive, if we do not start investing into technical fiber, if we do not start investing in MMF and creating that ecosystem so that we can be in the first place more competitive before the other countries start becoming competitive, and if we don't start building that kind of cities and infrastructure that can help those investors expand such kind of businesses, it will be very difficult for our cities to be adaptive or competitive at the national or global stage. The second point is assess risks and build alternative scenarios. So while I'll give some example of hilly regions. When there is a disaster in Sikkim, there is there are many such places where you can only reach by one road, and that road, if it gets stuck because of some traffic jam or some rain or some landslide, the whole access to basics just stops. It is really difficult. So one needs to have those alternate mechanisms to be still be connected in the face of shocks, in the face of the natural calamities. The third point is introduce innovation in basic agenda, which I think the speaker before me has covered pretty much. He was talking about the sustainable aspect, So this is what I'm referring to, the circular economy and the blue-green infrastructure integration within our city plans. Because till the time I certainly personally am a firm believer that if we start looking at our cities very sectorally, like city sanitation plan is one stream, and then city mobility plan as another stream, and then so all these different streams are required and much details are required, but there has to be, as planners, our role is to also moderate and bring all those streams and converge them into one basic plan. So that's why it's important to have a very strengthened basic agenda, which sometimes loses the essence of the planning itself. Then fourth point is see how markets are shaping up. How what skills are presently required, what enablers are required in the future. For example, just yesterday we were discussing internally about in one of our sessions on Surat. There are a couple of colleges, right? And there is one diamond market which is really, really flourishing. So if we compare only number with the diamond market, it will not give us much results. What we really need to identify is that do we really have those design capacities in a city like Surat, which can take the Surat diamond and gems and jewelry market to another level, like what happened in Indonesia, right? From textile, they also, they have become a tailor capital of the world. So like that, one needs to think in planning, which we generally are not, accustomed to. And then last but not the least is the multi-sectoral governance, which without which all of this, the kind of utopia you might be thinking might not be possible to happen. So, like our honorable finance minister had raised in her union budget speech, city planning cannot continue like business as usual. So if we really want urban economies to be resilient, we really need to think out of the box and think for a very, very new and different way of how we tackle all these challenges which are facing our cities today. So with that, I'll just leave you with this thought of Jane Jacobs, that dull, inert cities, it is true, do not contain the seeds of, they do contain seeds of their own destruction. Why? Because lively, diverse, intense cities contain seeds of their own regeneration, with energy enough to carry over for problems and needs outside themselves. So we need to think outside. We need to think outside the administrative boundary. We need to think outside the box. And we also need to think outside our own academic specialization. With that, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshika ma'am, for the insightful presentation on the urban growth trends in our country and by with it the urban economy, and furthermore addressing on how to make the urban economies resilient. So now we will move on to the next agenda in our schedule. It is with utmost honor I would like to invite our next keynote speaker for the day, Professor Chetan Vaidya. Professor Chetan Vaidya is an architect planner with over 30 years of experience. He is a former director of School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi from 2012 to 2017, and former director of the National Institute of Urban Affairs in India. The NITI AAYOG has nominated him as chairperson of working group of City Governance and Smart Cities as part of National Development Agenda at 75 in 2022. Also, Professor Chetan Vaidya has been appointed as part-time independent director of HUDCO from June 2016 for 3 years. He has also served as a chairman of Planning Education Board for All India Council of Technical Education, and the University of Melbourne has nominated him as a Melbourne Asia Visiting Fellow for 2014-15 and has also been awarded Distinguished Alumnus by the IIT Kharagpur in 2015. He worked as a deputy project leader for the Indo-USAID Financial Institutions Reform and Expansion Program during 1995 to 2008. He was also appointed in GOPA Infra as a Senior National Urban Advisor for Kochi Smart City project supported by GIZ. Currently, he is appointed as an Independent Director, Non-Executive for GIFT City, Gujarat. So, now I would like to invite Professor Chetan Vaidya to deliver his keynote address on mainstreaming climate change and urban development in India.
Thank you.
Sir, you're not audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words. It's a pleasure to be with you, with SPA Vijayawada, with all the friends again. Thank you, Ramesh, for that background introduction. Thanks, Adit Narayan, my friend Razak, and everybody else on this World Habitat Day. And also, it was very nice to listen to Anshika Gupta on her decoding urban resilience, and I really like the point she mentioned, and somehow we get connected in each other's presentation. So I will try to upload my presentation.
So,
Can you see? Yeah. Should I do share?
yes, sir. You have to click share, sir.
Yeah, I did that.
Yes.
Hopefully my presentation is something is happening.
Your screen is visible, sir. Your entire screen is visible now.
Okay, but where is my presentation?
Sir, if you have kept it open on your...
I have kept it open. Yeah, I kept it open. I've kept it open. Let me confirm. You have to excuse me for my technical ignorance. Oh, what do you call it?
No.
Yeah? Yes?
Sir, if not, we have your presentation. Should we share from our...
Let us try this. This is it will be easier for me to
Yes, sir.
do it if I
Definitely.
do it. So can you see it now?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen. Sir, you can put it on full screen mode, please. Presentation.
What is called a slideshow?
Yes, sir. Slideshow mode.
Okay, from the beginning. Is it all right now?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
But you can only see, I cannot see you. That's fine. Right? Am I right? You can see my whole screen.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen. We can see yourself also.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ramesh. Once again, Ramesh and everybody else for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be with you. We are talking about, and I'm very happy that SPA Vijayawada is organized this World Habitat Day in this whole urban October month, which is very nice. And I remember Rajak had started it. My old friend Rajak from SPA Delhi had started this whole activity. And I also like the presentation by Anshika Gupta, particularly issues of adoption, need to assess risk, go for innovations, linking with private sector and market, and finally multi-sector governance. I go to my next slide, urban India population trends. This has been also mentioned by earlier speakers. We are 32% urban, and we are very large and very diversified. I think that is very important to understand, that we are so large and so diversified that no one size fit all will work for us. We need to improve our urban infrastructure and governance to achieve our economic objectives, and as mentioned many times earlier, develop sustainable and inclusive urban development. Both are extremely important, both sustainability and inclusive urban development. As far as climate change and urban development is concerned, we are the most vulnerable countries to climate change impacts. Cities are frequently have climate hazards like urban flooding, heat waves, cyclone storms, prolonged dry spells, water scarcity, and so on. About 44% of greenhouse gases emanate from or originate from urban areas, and some people feel that this figure is goes up to even to 70%. We are party to international agreements on climate change, including Kyoto Agreement, Paris Agreement, and UNFCCC. During 26th Conference of Parties, COP26, our Prime Minister have made a commitment to net zero for 2070. Urban areas are going to be an important role in achieving our climate goals. Actually, we'll win or lose our climate war in urban areas. I can say that with a lot of confidence. Now, when it comes to climate change strategies, mitigation means making impacts of climate change less severe by preventing or reducing emissions of greenhouse gases into atmosphere. It is retrofitting the buildings to make them more energy efficient, adapting renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and small hydro, electric vehicles, and biofuels. It is short-term to medium-term measure and can be expensive. The other approach is adaptation, that is taking appropriate measures to prevent the effects of climate change. It is a life-changing climate and involves long-term strategies. It's basically changing human behavior, which is actually very difficult in practice. Adaptation example is development resilient crops, lifestyle for environment mission, which Government of India is promoting. But to me, adaptation and mitigation are two sides of the same coin. We have already taken a number of initiatives in urban climate area. We have set up a national mission for sustainable development in our Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, which is enabling climate action. It is NMSH 2021, which it is pertains to strategies dealing with urban governance, capacity building, data, technology, innovation, and financing mechanism for the mission. Climate Alliance has been set up in 2020, which brings in almost now 90 organizations with diverse skills, strengths, and resources required for planned climate action. There is also a Center for Climate Cities set up in National Institute of Urban Affairs by the ministry. And most importantly, there is a climate smart assessment framework. We all this, and we are preparing almost more than 30 cities climate action plans with net zero goal by 2070 or even earlier, like cities like Chennai. Now, Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework is a tool to assess current climate situation and provides a roadmap to cities to adapt and implement climate change, both mitigation and adaptation. It has 28 diverse indicators, which is in 5 categories: energy and green management of buildings, urban planning, green cover and biodiversity, mobility and air quality, water resource management, waste management. In the first round, the 96 smart cities were assessed. In second round, 126 cities were assessed. 4 stars were given to Surat, Ahmedabad, Pune, your own city of Vijayawada, Rajkot, Vizag, Pimpri Chinchwad, and Vadodara. Third round, 226 cities have already been assessed, and their results will be declared very soon. And in for second round, none of the cities got 5-star rating. One very important work done by CFCF is that it recommends actions for improvement. In case of one city, that is my own city of Baroda, it did not get 5-star, and it was told that you need to prepare a climate action plan assessment level, where they got only 0. It advised them to establish a city-level stakeholder committee with key members from the different agencies, document the institutional committee and climate coordination cell and their activities, also develop and implement a work plan and reporting mechanism, work on monitoring, auditing of climate cell, prepare CHG emissions inventory, conduct a climate vulnerability assessment along with GIS-based map, and develop a climate action plan with participation, with your director focus so much on in his presentation. Now, climate action plan methodology broadly covers commit and mobilize. First, get the commitment of both the elected and the executive body. assess priorities, assess local context and baseline climate performance, including GHS emissions analysis and vulnerability analysis, develop climate action plan and get it approved, identify climate actions, allocate budget, and approve climate action targets, which is very important. Implement and monitor locally. This word locally is extremely important to implement and monitor approved climate target. If you do not measure how you are achieving your targets, you will not be able to achieve the goals. Also review and scale up annual evaluation of climate performance and scaling up, and how does we can enhance climate actions. Now, what can be actions under climate change in urban areas? It could be introduction of energy savings, LED street lights, promoting public transport, promoting walking and non-motorized transport, developing Miyawaki urban forests, promoting use of solar energy, floating solar energy plants, encouraging electric autos and automobiles. Now there is a policy at the national government for promoting electric automobiles, and buses, decentralized collection and treatment of solid waste, bio-CNG from organic waste, nature-based treatment of sewage, improved procurement guidelines. I think it's very important if we really want to go for implementing various climate-sensitive actions, we need to improve procurement guidelines and promote energy saving. Now, there is a very important white paper prepared by German GIZ, which has implications for India. I have just noted 4 points from the study. One is that they initiated central support at national level to municipalities crucial for development for climate action plan, capacity building and investment. All three, there was a national plan to help the urban local bodies for preparing climate action plans, capacity building, that is training of staff, and investment. All three is extremely important. Knowledge transfer hub as a central point of contact. How do we transfer knowledge about climate change to our municipalities and cities? Broad-based funding. It was not limited only to pilots or to a large project. It was a broad-based funding, which includes from pilots to mainstreaming it at city and state level. Regular monitoring and amendments. Monitoring of what actions you're taken becomes very important in the present context. Identify good practices and how do we multiply its use. Integrated thinking, network action. Think of climate protection as a cross-cutting task, not as in silos, and also measure on community sensitization, community orientation towards climate change. Now, this was mentioned as a last point by Ms. Gupta, the multi-sector governance issue. I am now trying to put it in form of a graph. You see, our own ministry, that is Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, is dealing with National Mission for Sustainable Habitat. Overall, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is dealing with National Action for Climate Plan. MHA, disaster management. Actually, disaster management is two sides of the same coin of climate change. That is managed or overall supervision of Ministry of Home Affairs. And then there are central ministries dealing with electric vehicles and other matters. Now, how do you, and then National Institute of Urban Affairs is responsible for capacity building and other urban climate actions. All this needs to interact with each other. At state level, we have State Urban Development Department, State Urban Environment Department dealing with state action planning for climate change, and there are other states departments. But at the city level, it is only urban local bodies which has to combinedly look at all these programs, prepare actions, and prepare a strategy and action plan. So this is something which is very important, that there's proper linkages at the national level, state level, and also its implication at the local level. Now, my observations on this is a part of a study which we did for GIZ, that National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, it provides an excellent climate actions, enabling urban climate actions and strategies. CSF-CF framework has emerged as an important tool towards mainstreaming urban climate change. These recommendations to improve are very useful to the cities. There is also need to look at how should we implement climate change. Should it be with separate new project management consultants and special implementation units, or we should try to support existing staff? I am of a view that we should support existing staff at urban local areas, both in the development authority and in the municipalities. There is also need to integrate climate change with disaster management. They are both two sides of the same coin. There is also need to innovate local institution, academic institution like SPA Vijayawada, training institutes who can work together with cities on climate change. I think they should not look in different directions. Many agencies are involved in climate change, but with help of Climate Alliance, City Climate Alliance, which has been set up by NIU and MHUA. However, this alliance doesn't have a proper structure. And the Ministry of Environment Climate Change looks at state action plan for climate change to coordinate actions at state level. So we should see to it that urban plans also get a role or some kind of mention in the state action plan to get financial and capacity building support. As far as policy is concerned, there is very limited cooperation at the state government level with urban climate plans. Little mention in the state plans. There is no clear methodologies for preparing city action plans for climate change. Different agencies are using different methodologies. Present planning and actions are working on policies and not on its implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. City climate plans are not getting integrated with master plan or development plan, which is very, very important. Unless you combine climate action plan into master plan, it will not be sustainable in long terms. Fortunately, some states and cities, including CMD master plan preparation approval rules, have been amendment to provide provision for climate change initiatives. There must be other states who have done similar thing. We have now updated our climate targets to achieve net zero by 2070. And there is also a pattern of urbanization which is going to happen in next 30, 40 years. But we need to link impact of climate change on urban sector. These two projected climate targets and projected urbanization, this needs to be integrated together. There is large number of knowledge products being prepared. Unless somebody needs to review them and put it at some same place. A lot of research is happening in India on urban climate change, but it has to be applicable to existing situation in India. There is also training programs often not linked with technical assistance. If you do training and do not provide technical assistance and finance, it doesn't have a long-term impact. Mainstream climate change in urban government is necessary to have local stakeholders like local community groups to understand the issues and actions. And also climate change professionals use a lot of jargons. We need to simplify these terms to be understood by urban officials and community leaders. As far as financing is concerned, SEBI has issued enabling guidelines for green bonds in Faridabad and Indore, have issued this green bond, but other cities should also issue similar bonds. Cities have to develop bankable public-private partnership. This private sector participation has been mentioned earlier also. UNDP is working on a framework for climate finance, and we need to integrate with urban systems. There is generally lack of incentives for cities to plan and implement climate actions. The moot question is, how do we justify urban climate action? Finally, you will get funding only we can say that if you invest this much in urban climate action, how it will help to achieve your objectives. And our financial policies are not based on developing and implementing appropriate planning principles like polluter pays. This needs to be incorporated. NIO is working with Atal Innovation Mission to provide startup working with cities on changing procurement guidelines. JEM government procedure for procurement as also promoting innovations, but there are hardly few startups in urban climate change actions. Innovations need to be encouraged without any relation with cities' needs and with relation to needs, cities' needs and capacity. The potential areas for innovations, a lot of discussion on startup. I thought I should mention this to young people like you. Work on evaluation of building complexes from the point of view of climate change with simulation models on impact of these development. Behavior change is another area of innovations. Development of standards and certification of air quality is another area not fully dealt with in urban areas. Different types of urban services systems or data to be collected, analyzed, and monitored, and feedback provided. Leveraging technology to improve institutional capacity. Development of advanced information technology to improve monitoring and compliance. And most importantly, changing procurement procedures. Major recommendations are demystify climate change in urban context, use simple terms, include urban concern in state action plan for climate change, urban climate change to be linked with disaster management, particularly at the district level. Climate city action plan should be integrated with master plans, incorporate master climate concern in urban and regional development plan formulation implementation guidelines, model municipal building bylaws 2016 and model municipal law 2003 to become sustainable. Provide additional funding, involve local academic and research institutions with cities and states, promote innovations through startup and urban labs, support research study on impact of urban climate targets or urban sector, communicate with stakeholders. My principle is communicate, communicate, and communicate. Need for evidence-based or data-based planning. Do not go for intuition. Use modern technology as necessary. And finally, my last two slides are for young architects and planners. Design of green energy efficient and building. The architects and urban planners can play a very important role. They can also play a very important role for need for evidence-based or database design of climate actions, both climate plans and actions. Data science is going to be important for planners and architects. Designs of pedestrian and cycle-friendly streets. People should be given back their streets, not automobiles. Design of water-based development, both lake and river development. Nature-based sewerage treatment plan. There is also need to develop spawn cities where the drainage or rainwater harvesting and rainwater can be kept for some time. Landscaping design of people-friendly open spaces, gardens, and finally, most important, we can play an important role in monitoring of climate planning and action. And my final slide is for young architects and planners. I think we have an American architect now who is based in Pune, Professor Christopher, who has written a book called Letter to Young Architect. I'll recommend it to all young planners and architects. And he has said the gift we can give to students is the knowledge that there will always be student. Please remember that you always have to keep learning, learning, and learning. One has to remain a student for rest of the time. And you are very fortunate that you have a very committed faculty and education system in SPA Vijayawada and also SPA as a whole. You're very fortunate to be part of this system. Please make full use of it. You're also in India, which is going to see a lot of construction and planning in next 20 to 30 years. And please remember 4 things to be successful. First is young people, young professionals have to be focused. I find that young people now do not focus on 1 or 2 activities. Please focus on 1 or 2 activities and become global in those. Also, go beyond terms of reference. If your teacher has given you some TOR, if a consultant, you got a TOR, please go beyond the TOR. Finally, work from your heart, think of your passion, not always from mind, and do hard work. All your faculty and all your teachers, all the successful professionals you see in planning and architecture, they have done hard work to achieve this position. Please remember that there is no option to hard work. Thank you so much. I hope my presentation is understood well. I'm willing to respond to some questions and answer.
Thank you so much, sir.
I hope it was audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible. Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, we will. Our combined Q&A.
Yes, no issue, no issue. Both we are overlapping to each other. I am trying to close the share part, but
Sir, it's already closed. It's closed.
okay, fine.
Yes, yes. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
And thank you so much, sir, for your intuitive presentation and for giving us an insight on how beyond theory, our topic of discussions can be effectuated in ground zero. So now, it is with utmost respect, I would like to actually welcome our former professor, Dr. Abdul Razak Mohammed, sir, to address the gathering on his views on today's topic of discussion, resilient urban economies.
So good to see you, Razak.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. So good to see you.
Okay, then, yeah, just I just come here to take some class. Then they ask.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, we'll meet sometime, sir. Happy. Okay, friends, just don't have any slides. Don't worry, I'm not going to take any class here. And being passionate to this kind of events, I think I'm standing 20th World Happy Day celebration in my experience. Almost I conducted more than 19, maybe the 20th. I'm happy to be here and given an opportunity. I just thank to Director Ramesh sir, Achudi Adikrishnan sir. This time I didn't expect that I'm going to speak to you on this thing. But anyway, happy that. But okay, we are talking about resilience, and the two speakers given a lot of. Okay, a lot of input in terms of resilience. Okay, I just take you to the home. So, climate change. We know climate, first thing come to our mind about environment, forest, wildlife. Okay, I give little bit some idea about 2 points about social climate. We agree that we need to have a better climate to live in our neighborhoods. So I touch upon 2 things. One is today we are talking about resilience economy. How we look at this resilience, because we have gone through a turmoil of 2 years of disaster internationally, COVID-19. So made everybody to think differently, to start a new life now after so many years of living, and suddenly there's a downfall, and we learn to now to cope up the life. So resilience is not we are adjusting with the environment, but how we adjust with our own self, our own family, our own neighborhood. So I touch 2 things. One is I'm looking into the subject of mobility today. That's one area which I'm working on that. That particular context, I am trying to say something about, we are now transforming our society into digital economic communities. So the communities are neighborhoods with a different character. Now I'm just looking at from that particular community into digital economic communities. How? We choose a place to live. Residential, I mean locational choice you study in your theories and all. What is the choice today? City, suburban areas, peri-urban areas. Those days you have a house with certain function in the house, designed for you to live with families, invite friends, sharing place. Your house with 3 functions. Private space. You may not allow everybody to come to my house in every place. Maybe some people come to that space where I can accommodate. And there are places I don't like everybody to come to my place, private place, a public place. How do we organize it now in our design? Successful, not successful, depends upon the design. But I look at from the user's point of view. How to keep that as an element in terms. That's I put it as a social climate in terms of living. Now the transformation is digital societies. Those days we live in a house. We want to buy something, go to the market. There's a place. Walk, bicycle, maximum. I don't think anybody went taken a car to buy some vegetables from the neighborhood. Or even in the town, the marketplaces are there. Only the things are available. When I was schooling time, my mother says that you go and buy vegetable, take the bag, walk to the street, across the road, 2, 3 streets, and go to the market, buy the vegetables, and come back. And suddenly see located, this tomato is not good, bad. I see, you will tell me, you take the money and then throw the money in the market and come back, take it out, go again, bring it back. Now, what's happening? Vegetables are available in your neighborhood shop. What is the concept today? Home shops. Many countries are following. China is promoting that. You can start any house shops where you can buy vegetables, eggs, everything there. Everything is there. Fish is also available in the market. Suppose you eat non-vegetarian. Sorry to say that. So what's happening? Digital society now. Digital economics. You want to go somewhere, you go to the bus stop, you take a bus, you take a taxi, then go. Now, click button, the taxi fellow is in your house. So the society is changing now. The people are adopting to the living environment where the promoters of the high income houses, middle income houses, low income houses, where the property dealers, the real estate people are attracting to you. You come and buy the house, my places, you have access to digital camera, you have access to digital facilities, everything is there in your house. You don't have to go anywhere. So I'm trying to find out from where in our residential areas, it's the promotion now. So you need not go also there. Tendency in the neighborhood, come back and buy. But now it is gone. That was to happen 2 years. We faced the problem. We can't go anywhere outside. What section of the population? So in the day of creating awareness about society, then the college and general public about habitat. I confused which one I have to give it to you. Anyway, so now the digitalization, and we're talking about resilience. What I'm trying to look into this after so many years of experience in urban planning, regional planning, and whatever it may be, I'm trying to see that how the society is transforming to fit into this World Habitat Day theme. I thought something I can speak few words about this resilience in terms of social resilience, because it's also cope up. We are adjusting to that. We are trying to see that how best we can become more and more digitalized. One side, we are always talking about the providers, but I am looking at the expenditure. Everybody spend money for accessing to infrastructure, mobility, housing. Every marketing is talking about buying. You are attracting the market people, but how much they are spending, what form they are spending the money. So this I am trying to capture through some of the observation studies and everything, how we can think in terms of understanding the social resilience, because how people are cope up with the situation according to the technology in terms of the mobility and housing. This some few idea. I'm just working on that. Maybe you can think about that further. And this is a great opportunity. I'm really happy to be with you in today. And thanks to the director and the HOD of the department. And thanks for all of you. Take care. All the best.
Now we'll start with the question answer session. So, Anshika ma'am, can you confirm whether you are online? So now I open the platform for the audience to ask Chetan sir any questions regarding his presentations and your thoughts on the presentations, please.
Sir, so my question is regarding the eco-friendly urban practices that can be implemented in tier 2, tier 3 cities because they're economically weak and now climate change is having adverse effects on our daily life as well. So what kind of specific eco-friendly models that our cities.
Your name, please. What is your name?
Yes, sir. So since
Yeah.
those cities are economically weaker, so what kind of models can be implemented?
Yes. Name, please. Name. Your name. Can we take 2 or 3 questions together? That will be easy to respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is the name of this lady?
Sir, I'm Snigdha.
Okay. Thanks, Snigdha, for that question. We'll take 2 or 3 questions together. Okay. Anybody else?
Hello, sir. I'm Ashwin.
Yes, Ashwin.
So, in India, smart city.
I can't listen. Please.
So, in India, smart cities was created to improve the quality of life of residents and to basically improve the overall economic growth. So, do really smart cities represent the way to urban resilience, or like how can creation of smart cities pave the way for urban resilient economies?
Yes. Yes. Ashwin, I'll respond. One more question and then we can take all 3 together.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, name please.
So my name is Ahadya.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So what strategies can cities adopt to attract investments that promote sustainable economic development while preserving the cultural heritage, sir? Hello.
Yes, I am with you.
So the question is, what strategies can cities adopt to attract investments that promote sustainable economic development while preserving the cultural heritage
Okay.
and identity?
Okay.
Hello, sir. Are you online? Hi, sir. You're online, but you're on mute.
All right. Thank you. Can I respond to all the three questions together?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unless there is any other link. See, all three are sort of overlinked. They are integrated together. I'll put overlaps are there in all the three questions. I think the first question is, does smart city mission provides a way for resilient city development? My answer is yes. I think smart city did provide focus on digital economy, but it also worked on improving our neighborhoods. That whole issue of how do we revitalize our open spaces? How do we give back our cities to people, streets to people? How do we promote walking and non-motorized traffic? All this was one part of the smart city project, and even the climate city assessment framework was part of the smart city. It was confined to first 100 cities in round one. So all the efforts, particularly in the last phase, last year when they, or last 2 years when they tried to reorient smart city approach, I think was towards achieving climate goal and making resilient cities. So my answer is yes. I think one needs to look in not the high fly, even your integrated integrated command and control system, which most of you must have seen in Vijayawada, provides data for resilient cities. I think without that we cannot measure what we are doing towards resilient cities. So I think that's a very important step forward in smart city approach. Have we achieved resilient cities? The answer is no. But we are going towards resilient cities through the smart city mission. The second question, what can be the strategies for development of resilient cities without destroying the culture or without so I think if you focus on how do we make, it will all depend different for different cities. There cannot be one approach for all kinds of cities. Within the country, if you look at religious cities, you look at cities which has important traditional tourist position, I think they do provide that you can save your cultural heritage, and at the same time you increase tourism, you increase provisions of improved infrastructure and facilities to tourists, and then develop resilient cities. That is possible within some framework. I think the Ayodhya is trying to do that in this new action plan for Ayodhya. They are developing climate action plan, which is both sustainable and inclusive and resilient. So that is possible, but it is obviously if you do not have enough spots of cultural importance or religious importance, you naturally have to go for more focus on service industry, on offices. Like I work for Gujarat Gift City, which is basically a new financial center in near Ahmedabad, which all focus is to provide a space for fintech industries, space for finances and technological industry. That is basically office complex. Take some of the burden off from Bombay, and if you're developing a city like that, that is basically focusing on improved infrastructure, buildings, and not so much on culture. So it will depend from city to city, which is important. And the third question, which Sinikta has asked, is can we do eco-friendly second and third tier cities? Yes, the answer is yes. Simple things like promoting biking, promoting non-motorized traffic, promoting Mayawaki urban forests, promoting public transport, not necessarily metro, but simple bus transport where you know what time a bus is coming. It has a GPS system. It is displayed where the bus will coming, linking the bus transport with the land use and with the last minute connectivity. One can develop eco-friendly cities even for second and third tier system. So thank you so much. That was my response to the first three questions.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more questions?
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My
Yes.
name is Apsi Jaisrudia, fourth year B plan. Sir, as we are talking about the resilient cities, so I want to ask, like, we have faced a COVID situations like recently. So, can our cities be resilient even when we are facing, maybe in future we are facing another situation like that? Like, for example, due to the COVID pandemic and all, we had to the government had to close up many open spaces. Because of that, our cities, like, they like, I think that they couldn't be resilient when it comes to situations like that. So now onwards, from like for our future, do we have any preventive measures or any mitigation measures to keep our cities resilient even during these times?
Your name, you said Ape. What did you say?
APSI, sir. APSI.
APSI. APSI. Thank you, APSI, for that question. You're finished? Have you finished?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I think you are very right. The last pandemic taught us a lesson, which we were totally not prepared. But it was not just India, not just one city, but it was whole of the world, which was not ready for this kind of pandemic, COVID-19. We did. Now we have learned from our experiences. We know that we can use integrated command and control system not only to provide information to find areas where diseases are more widespread, but also to take action and to communicate with people. I think we prepared that thing. We have also prepared a strategy for improving our health infrastructure in an emergency situation. So we are better prepared now than what we were last time. And I hope that this kind of pandemic doesn't take place again. But if it does take place, we will face it with much more readiness and preparedness. Yes, I hope I have responded. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I'm
Yes, please.
from.
Name, please.
My name is Hemant. I'm from Masters.
Hmm.
So, sir, I don't know the question is relevant for today, but the rural areas also need to be resilient because the urban settlements form from the rural because it goes under transformation. So, if the rural areas are resilient and have better strategies from initial planning only, then only the future coming urban areas may have proper resilience. So why there is no focus on resilience for rural areas? Maybe there, but are there any government initiatives or anything policies or acts something which supports rural resilience?
There are policies for resilience in urban areas also. It's just that in this particular presentation, we are focused in urban areas. It's not that we have forgotten our. I think, particularly periphery areas of today, which are rural, are going to be urban tomorrow. So there are policies and actions are being thought of, particularly focused on agriculture. I think agriculture is going to be affected a lot by climate change. I'm focusing on the climate and also disaster. So rural areas are as important as the urban areas are concerned, and there are being actions and plans being prepared. Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm Nita from Masters second year. So my question is, how can cities, especially in hilly areas, prone to natural disasters, enhance their economic resilience in face of calamities?
See, if it is earthquake, obviously, except for building more appropriate building bylaws and making safe earthquake safe, this we have to sort of rely on this, and particularly in areas where we expect earthquake, which 100% is difficult to predict. But if we are in areas like we are now in Ahmedabad, we after the earthquake in 2003, we have completely changed our building bylaws and building regulations. And we have made it compulsory that a structural engineer checks the building plan before and after the plan is constructed and before the plan is approved. So those kinds of action are taken. Similarly, as far as flooding is concerned, we are making efforts to see that there is a use of natural grounds, spawn cities, to see that if there is extra rainwater, then that is collected in public places, in stadiums, for a temporary measure, and then it goes to the drainage system. Also, more and more of rainwater harvesting. So efforts are being made in this direction. You cannot be 100% resilient all the time, because there could be always some shocks, and we need to be prepared for it, and for which we need to involve the community, orient them, and train them for the situation. Thank you, Hemant. I think I responded to your question. Neeta, did I respond to your question, or you still have something left?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No questions, sir.
Okay.
No more questions. Sir, thank you for accepting our with a short notice, accepting our invitation, and thank you very much for sparing your valuable time and being with us today. And definitely, we had a very good interactions, and you have shared your all your experiences with our students. Thank you for being with us, sir. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I think let us conclude the session. I think Rajiv, you take over the session, and let us conclude today's session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So good evening all. So thank you, Chetan sir. So we'll move on to the next session, wherein as a part of Urban October this year, like every other year, we are having series of competitions. We have various student competitions organized in coordination with student cultural clubs at SPA Vijayawada, open to all students of SPA from both the departments of architecture and planning. Few of them I'll be listing out today, which are already ready to be floated. Few more competitions will be there. We have attractive prizes. We have one competition along with Club Tasveer. We are organizing a photography competition titled Urban Kaleidoscope, capturing the diversity of city life, wherein each participant need to submit one photograph that encapsulates their unique perspective on the city life, along with an engaging title and appreciation of the photo. All budding photographers and experienced photographers are encouraged to be a part of this. So do actively participate. We have another competition along with Club IRA, the literary club of SPA Vijayawada. We are organizing a problem-solving challenge, primarily from the planning perspective, planning and architecture perspective, on a very interesting planning themes, which shall be announced end of this week before Dashera, revolving on aspects of future cities, informality, sustainable development, partnerships and decentralization, etc. So a theme which encompasses all this. This is a team project, unlike the photography event. And the deliverables are primarily a poster presentation by the team, which will be adjudged. So for both the competitions or all the competitions, there will be a judging panel. Okay. And all the final deliverables will be submitted for all these competitions by 1st of November. In addition, we'll have other competitions like painting. And in addition with these competitions, we are tying up as a part of Urban October to bring in more active participation of students. All cultural clubs like drama club, music club, dance club, etc. We are organizing cultural programs on 1st and 8th November. So today is just the first day, the inaugural day. We have 3 more days of various sets of like we have eminent speakers joining us. Series of lectures are there.
we have competitions, we have cultural programs. So we require your active participation. So that's with respect to the competitions. Now I take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks and conclude today's event. Respected director, our director could not join us today because of his work-related urgencies. Distinguished guests, speakers, we had two eminent speakers joining us online today. Professor Dr. Razak, sir came as he is a visiting faculty now. So, sir has also taken his time to join us today. All faculty, the HODs of both the departments, the deans, staff, students, and all who have contributed to the success of the inaugural session of Urban October 2023 and the World Habitat Day program. As we bring the significant event to a close, I take this honor of delivering the vote of thanks on behalf of Department of Planning, SPF Jayawada, and all the participants. Today, through this session, we have come together to address some of the most pressing challenges and opportunities with the urban landscape. We've had shared insights, experiences, and ideas that will undoubtedly shape the course of our cities and urban environments. Your presence and active engagement of all the students here, all online participants, all other offline participants, have made this event a resounding success for that, and we are profoundly grateful. We expect the same turnout for the rest of the events. We had Professor Chetan Vaidya delivering his address on the topic mainstreaming climate change in urban development in India, where Sir spoke on building climate resilience into the urban system. Sir highlighted sustainable urban solutions, highlighted various initiatives in urban India, his observations on institutional structures, policies, and financing options to tackle the development concerns, the potential areas that we can focus on, the role of architects and planners in urban climate actions. Also, he did highlight why we should be mainstreaming climate change in local governments. Then we've had our second speaker, Ms. Anshika Gupta, who delivered her address on the title Decoding Resilient Urban Economies, where Madam spoke on resilience in economic development to guide the spatial growth, where Madam spoke on steps to build the economic agenda through and rethinking or rethought required in the economic agenda. And we totally agree with what the quotation by Jane Jacobs, which Madam concluded her discussion on, where she told that the cities are the creators of the problem, and the cities face the brunt of the same problem, and the same cities are the drivers which can bring in change or bring in that the drivers of the positive change in to make the scenario better. So, with this, I first and foremost to propose a vote of thanks. I would express the heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speakers, Professor Chetan Vaidya, the Independent Director, Gift City Gujarat, and Ms. Anshika Gupta, the Specialist Urban Development from NITI AAYOG, for joining us. Your knowledge and wisdom and expertise have illuminated the path toward building resilience, sustainable, and inclusive urban economies. Your insights will undoubtedly inspire our collective efforts. Thank you for sparing your time and interacting with the SPAV fraternity. A special thanks to our chief patron for this program of Urban October SPAV 2023, our Honorable Director SPAV Vijayawada, Professor Dr. Ramesh Srikonda sir, who have very positively supported in organizing this program. Also, I thank our Dean Academics, Dr. Ayan Kumar Tarafdar, for his efforts in ideating this Urban October. We would like to thank the dedicated team of the Department of Planning headed by our HOD, Dr. Adin Narayan, for his continuous efforts and making this program and the forthcoming program successful. So we have more programs coming. We also thank all the deans, HODs, all faculty of planning and architecture department, and all beloved students for being present and being active listeners and also in engaging in the discussions. I thank the IT team and other staff for extending their timely support and for the smooth running of this program. I would also thank both our wonderful hosts for the evening, the comparers Krishnadas and Agnes from MEPM second year, for helping us. This was a last minute support which we had to ask them. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the attendees and our Professor Dr. Razak for sportively joining in, both in person and online, for your presence and active participation. As we conclude this inaugural session of Urban October 2023 and the World Habitat Day celebration, I urge you all to carry forward the insights and the ideas shared here today. We should take this positively and let's transform our cities into beacons of resilience, sustainability, and inclusivity. We will be developing a report on Urban October, which shall be made available to all at the end of these 4 days, which will be placed in the website. Thank you once again for all your presence, your insights, your dedication to our shared urban future, and for joining the inaugural session of Urban October 2023 and the commemoration of the World Habitat Day 2023. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Over to both the hosts.
Thank you, sir. With that, we conclude today's event. Thank you to everybody who has taken part today. I request you all to rise for the national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everybody.